Just can you describe the move, bringing in Pomeranz and for Wicks, just kind of what you guys hope to got with that move?
Yeah, so we signed, obviously brought Drew on a minor league contract about 10 days ago, and we think Drew is, in a pretty similar place than he was last year. Maybe it's going to take a little things to do, but and we think that's worth a shot at taking. And Hobie's injury kind of created some runway for it, and getting our bullpen back to a good spot. And frankly, Jordan was a part of getting our bullpen back to a good spot with his effort on Wednesday. But I think it's a shot, that we think is worth taking with Drew. Obviously what he did last year, and we think he's really not that far off it, and hopefully we can get him back there.
Is there a thought, down the line he could use as an opener if have the right circumstances?
Yeah, always. That's the first thing he said. Yeah, he said, "I'll be in the training room when you tell me I'm the opener." Yeah, it's a possibility for sure. I think Ryan's done a good job with that as well. But yeah, and actually, we actually now have 3 lefties in the rotation, so that probably reduces the chance that it happens.
Very complimentary about just how staff is really kind of diagnosing what is wrong and making suggestions and implementing. And can you explain your perspective? How it's done?
Yeah, I mean, I think like from in Pom's perspective, like there's just some knowledge of the player, I think. So that helps rather than it just being we have this idea, we know nothing. We haven't worked with you before, and I think working with him, and probably working with him when he's been, like pretty close to, his peak. I mean, I think he got to a place last year where he put together his second half of the season was pretty darn good. So I think that certainly helps, and it helps for the player too that they've seen me at a really good place, and they've made suggestions that have worked in the past. So there's some trust there, and that doesn't guarantee future success, but I think it gives you a pretty good shot at it.
With Pete, Player of the Month, he talked about conversations he had about not thinking just about being a home run hitter and being a player that can have just as much impact when he gets on base. I know you've talked about both a lot. But, how do you view him in this version?
Yeah, look, the thing that's, I guess he has had this month where he's hit the home runs. I don't know if he hit 10 in a month. Probably didn't hit 10 in a month, but he did. Okay, but he has not had this month where he walked this much, and so that's the new thing, right? And that added piece, although it's not, the home run is still better, is something that's really valuable, and I think he's proving something to himself probably, that's most important, that he can do both, and that's obviously a great player that can do both, that's going to get on base and hit home runs, so that's an important thing development that kind of was demonstrated over this month, and maybe different than. Did he win Player of the Month last year? No.
No. Is that a byproduct of him moving up in the lineup? He realized that he had to do this.
I mean, it's interesting. Like, I think you can assign some of it to it. I mean, I think he, like we kind of talked about, like there's a responsibility of hitting leadoff. You're being handed the most at bats. You're starting the game off for the team, and maybe that little the weight of that responsibility actually worked for him. I think he had shown some signs of it beforehand, but it's clearly taken off since he's been in the leadoff spot.
Mentioned in the past, like he's best when he's in swing mode, but there's still a way to do that when he's not swinging as much. His swing rate has dropped so much. Just kind of what have you seen in terms of how he's navigated that idea and kind of honed in on it?
Yeah, I mean that's the idea. Like the execution of it is, that's where the beauty is, right? So yeah, I mean that's where you want to be. You want to be yes, no all the time, especially for somebody with power. They always want to be in that mode. But the no part's the hard part.
He said Jed was like, you're more valuable on first. The home runs are great. Is it also the understanding?
That's yeah.
Well, not quite, but the point I'm wondering is maybe a player has to realize, like, at best I'm hitting it out 30 times.
Yeah.
But there's 100+ other chances.
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to say it. I mean, I think that's probably what Jed's trying to say there. Yeah. Yeah. There's another 670 plate appearances or 650 plate appearances that it's not going to happen, and so without that, then the on base component becomes pretty darn important.
Talked about a conversation you had earlier this season with Alex Bregman, how it kind of changed some things that he thought about. He's talked in the past about conversations he's had with veterans. How have you seen him interacting with some of the veteran players in your time with them, and how he's kind of benefited from that?
Well, look, we all he's. I don't think Pete's any different from a young player, any other young player. Then is you're looking for knowledge, you're looking for wisdom, you're looking for different ways players solve problems, and so you're always seeking that, and then you get ideas from them, and maybe one idea doesn't work and one conversation does, and so that's, I think Pete's very normal from that perspective of seeking out players that have had a lot of success and trying to apply it to his own game.
This has nothing to do with Cub players at all. That's my preface to it.
Okay.
And that is, I'm watching Manny Machado last night and talked to some of the people around him, and he's walking the first base on a ground ball. Okay. Where as a manager, baseball man, do you care about whether a guy is running hard all the time or not, or protecting himself against injury, or I mean, there's a lot of variables. How do you fall in on all of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think these are things we worry about that are kind of silly, to be honest with you.
I get paid.
Yeah, I think. That it's an issue where it's an individual thing, I think, and we judge it individually, and we judge it, and there's context around all of it, and there's things that not everybody knows around all of it, and so and it's different for every player, and there's also like players screw up, people screw up, people make small mistakes. And that happens too. So I think you try to put all of that together and make the best decisions for your player and for your team to continue to have them be successful.
I agree with you that these questions can't be answered for everybody, no way. But fans always ask about that, and
yeah, look,
they're concerned about it.
I mean, I think every player feels a responsibility of playing that they play hard. Every player feels that very deeply. They really do, and I don't think it's incredibly important to each guy in there. But I understand, and fans should expect it. Fans should expect us to play hard. I hope they continue to expect that.